So.
But I feel it picks up, the hypercardioids pick up voice for speaking and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Whereas like singers like cardioid and or the direct mics, because their voices are going one direction and stuff like that. But I mean, that's what most people that talk into a mic would use, the hypercardioid for sure.
Yeah, and that's what it seemed to be, where all the reviews were saying that kind of thing. Yeah. Yeah, it's like, you know, point it at your face and it'll work, and it'll get some other things, and you know, it works. It can work well with an acoustic or something like that too, if you're pointing it, you know, at the cabinet of the guitar or of the drum or something, like to where the sound actually leaves the instrument, you know, or reverberates within the instrument.
Well, it's different with drums, I'm just saying, but
well, depending on which one.
For like an acoustic guitar, you're right.
Yeah.
Because it gets all the sounds that are coming around everything.
Right.
With drums, you want it very direct because you're sitting and hitting on a drum.
Yeah, yeah.
So you usually use cardioid for drums.
Right, okay.
And you usually use condenser mics with the drummers. They usually have like an XY pattern above the top to pick up everything, and those are usually condenser mics because they give a little extra juice, but that usually comes from the board because they're a little powered. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So they got a little extra juice to them, and they're a little bit better to fine tune. But when you're just talking, you don't need that fine tuning.
Right? No, yeah.
So I mean, if you were like, I don't even, you know, I want to say like maybe Howard Stern or those kind of people would use a condenser mic, and that's why they sound that way.
Right, because they got the echo. They also
all through the board
and room bleeding into their mic too.
Yeah.
So it sounds all like comfy and yeah.
And it's exactly, and you just hear the voice of who's ever talking on the radio.
Right.
And it's a little more like it's a little more fine tuning. But and then there's the dynamic mics, which you would use for like a bass drum or a bass guitar, and it just kind of has that real, like whenever you hear a guy on the radio, he's like, "Hey, how's it going, man?" They usually use a dynamic because it like makes their voice sound like they're throaty or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But what you're using makes you sound like you, and that's the point.
Yeah, which I like. I'm all about that. I'm not trying to make it like crazy, or like I don't want to sound like Art Bell necessarily.
Well, see, but he had a voice. I mean,
no,
he
that's
had
what
a
I'm saying.
voice.
Yeah, he did. But that was fair because he had that voice. Yeah. No, 100%. But I'm not trying to pull that off by buying a microphone. You know,
He's a bad description because he had such a distinct voice.
Well, no, but he's a good because what I'm saying is I'm not trying to have my microphone turn me into Art Bell.
No, well, that's what people try. But I'm saying he was like, he was probably used a mic like you're using, but that was probably his voice.
Yeah, but he had that fatty
like
kick-ass
people
voice.
try to make that.
Yep. Yeah, no, I agree. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Where they use the soundboard and the microphones to make you sound, hey, and they do the, I'm on TV now. You know, where it's like, no, you want to sound like you. But I think, you know, and what's the other guy? Paul Harvey.
Oh, that guy.
Those guys,
God.
They sounded like that. I don't think they were like, that's what I mean. I don't think they were like doing, you know,
he was just
or anything like both of those guys had that voice that was like perfect for radio, and they just like, no, make me my voice. Don't fuck with it. You know, like if you met him in you know, like I think if you met Howard Stern, his voice would sound way different than when you hear him on radio.
Right, probably.
You know, and a lot of radio people, they don't sound like what they sound like in real life.
Yeah, I would believe that for sure. Yeah, especially nowadays with the like just straight up like, yeah, complete augments
Like
that you can do.
Even TV, you know, newscasters and stuff. That's not what they sound like when they go out to eat with their family and stuff. Like, but on TV, they got their TV voice, and that's all. You know, that's all editing and
reporting to the front.
The right microphone, the right guy on the soundboard. It's a totally different thing. You can sound like anything. I mean,
right? No, yeah.
I mean, even there's rappers and stuff that don't sound like themselves, and
right, I bet.
Just because even Dr. Dre, I mean, he's one of those guys. Like you hear him in interviews, and he doesn't sound like he does on the records.
Right? Hell yeah.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. That's actually the perfect example of like
that like full on like you know. Beef voice.
How many times? Yeah, you know, that's finding the right microphone, finding the right mix, and all that. And you know, he was going for something. It's different than.
Of course, we're going for a thing. Yeah, I'm all about it. Like, yeah.
Whereas, like, you know, I think the Wu-Tang, like, Wu-Tang probably sounds like Wu-Tang.
Yeah.
You know,
for the real.
Democracy.
Oh yeah.
Just another story from the real.
Man, that Enter the 36 Chambers was such a good album.
Right?
Up from the 36 Chambers. It's the Woo. Like, what a great beginning to the album. And that was like an album that sounded like, I don't know how to describe it in the right exact way, but it's like, it sounded like it wasn't even an album, like you were just listening to them.
Right? Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whereas like all of their rap stuff, a lot of rap stuff, especially in the 90s and 80s, like it sounded produced, and they didn't, even though it was very produced and RZA knew what he was doing, but it's like they really didn't sound produced.
Yeah, yeah.
It was like, oh, this is, you're hearing these guys just do it into a microphone.
Right, just flowing. Yeah, that's what it really felt like, yeah.
Most of their albums, even the double album. I forget that
Forever.
Yeah, Wu-Tang Forever, which like a double album from a rap group. Like
that was always my favorite, that one.
Oh, I see, but that's like one of those things where it's like albums. There's no albums anymore. There hasn't been albums since the early 2000s, or late 2000s, I should say. Everything is like singles.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, even with rock groups or most music, it's like everything's a single now. And it's like...
Yeah, there are albums, but it's not like the main structure of...
There used to be a theme, there used to be a something to it, or like you would like sit down and listen to all 12 tracks. Like no one's got 12 tracks.
Some artists are doing it still.
Some do, yes.
But yeah, it's not a
But it's not the mainstay. It's like,
no,
I can't wait for the album to come out. It's like, oh, these guys are good. I'll listen to their whole album.
Yeah. What collection of songs do they have in that album sense? Not in the like theme album sense.
Yeah, like okay, this is and there was always singles when MTV was around, but then you listen to the actual. You bought the album, and you're like, oh, there's 3 or 4 tracks on here that I didn't know, but it goes along with everything.
Yeah.
I don't know. I miss that kind of stuff. But
I'm about to get blown up.
Yeah, I'm watching you getting blasted by all these automatons.
Dove off the edge. Still getting shot. Oh, there we go. I had 8 seconds. I could have lasted longer and would have lived at least one more life. Additional reinforcement
5
funding
or 6.
approved. It said while I'm sitting here dead.
And your laser's down.
I tried it on hard. Had to kill
geez.
350 of them.
I know, and Divine was like, "Oh, let's do a Helldiver mission."